Hey, this is Amy from Real English Conversations, and today I thought that I would just do a short video that talks a little bit about speaking confidence and the fear that many people tend to feel when they're trying to speak, when they're not very good at it still. So this is a completely normal feeling when you're doing anything. Let's just pretend you were doing something like a sport that you've never tried. Maybe it's basketball. Someone hands you the ball, you start bouncing it, you try to shoot for the hoop, the ring that you put the basketball through, and you completely miss. How do you feel when that happens? Well, it doesn't seem that hard. I should be able to do this. Wow, I really suck at it. You know, the key is to just keep practicing, okay? And the same thing happens with speaking. If you were to continue practicing basketball, bouncing the ball, making a shot, eventually you'd start getting it in the net. And with speaking, you're going to start off and your fluency is going to be very slow. It's going to be difficult. You'll have to stop and think about some of the grammar. Maybe when you go to say a word, your pronunciation is just going to be really, really bad. And you know it's bad, but your mouth isn't used to making that sound. So, you know, it is what it is. So with speaking confidence, I think that the biggest issue that people are faced with is the judgment that they're receiving from other people. And I'm hoping that the advice that I can give you today is going to help you with eliminating 80% of your anxiety that is related to what other people are actually thinking about you when you're trying to speak. Okay, so there's two different types of people that you're going to be speaking with. One is a native speaker. The other one is someone who's also learning English. Now I want you to think just for a second, which one of those two people gives you more anxiety or you're more scared to have a conversation with? Is it someone who's also learning or someone who's the native speaker? Okay, so for me, it goes through stages. I actually felt a lot of anxiety with both when I was learning how to speak Spanish. And the first time that I started having a conversation with a native speaker, I knew that they would notice every single error that I was making. They would notice whether or not my pronunciation was good or bad. But I also realized really quickly that the native speaker was able to put together what I was saying, even if it wasn't perfect. And they were probably better at putting it together than an English learner. So my trust started to build with native speakers a little bit more, that they weren't really judging me for the errors that I was making, but they were more trying to help me to create my message to be clear. And later, they were really only focusing on trying to understand what I was trying to say. And I can tell you from the English native speaker's perspective, when I have someone who comes to talk to me and I can tell that they're a foreigner and English is not their first language, but they have enough English to be able to communicate with me, the last thing that I am focusing on are the errors that they're making or their pronunciation. What I am thinking about 100% is trying to understand what in the heck this person is saying to me, especially if it's at a basic level. I'm having to work a little bit harder with all of my knowledge of English to put the message together to be able to respond to this person and continue having a conversation. That is all that I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking that they're stupid for not being able to master the perfect American accent, or that they're missing vocabulary, or I don't know, maybe that their English is terrible and I would just prefer them not to be talking to me. Those are definitely not the things that I'm thinking about when someone is approaching me and I can tell that they're a learner. Now, I think it's natural from a peer perspective. Someone who's your peer is also someone who would be learning or doing the same thing. So I think it's natural from that perspective to kind of measure your level, and you're kind of noticing errors that the other person is making. And I don't really think that we do that in a way to be judgmental or to try to, I don't know, find a way to make that person seem less of a person because of the errors that they're making. I really don't think that that's the intention. It's more of an observation. When somebody is making a mistake and you know it's not correct, you're almost developing the same skills as I have as a native speaker when a learner is talking to me. I might notice that it's an error, but I know what they're trying to say, so it doesn't really matter. Now with your peers, if they're making a mistake or if you're making a mistake, it doesn't really matter because you're all going through the same thing. And even if you're not at the same level, let's pretend you're at an intermediate level here and there's someone who's at a higher level than you. You might be intimidated to practice talking with that person at a higher level because, again, you are thinking, this person way up here that's so much better at English than me is probably noticing every single mistake that I'm making. Where really, what this person is probably thinking, or should be thinking, is that you are learning and they remember when they were at your level. And the same thing happens for you. Take a look at where you are now. This one's you. And let's pretend that this person is over here. You can see that their speaking is slower, their vocabulary is limited, they're making errors, maybe they don't know as many tenses as you. But you know that with a little bit of practice and time, they're going to be able to come up to your level. You're just noticing the difference in the level, but it's not that you're saying this person down here is less of a person because of their level. That's not at all what you're thinking. You recognize you have been there. Just like this person up here recognizes they have been where you are now. So I hope that just having that one simple mindset about the fact that native speakers are definitely not judging you for your English skills, and your peers are or will be where you are right now at your level, will help you to feel a little bit less anxious about your speaking. And just remember, you're trying to do the best that you can while you're speaking, and that's all that matters. Just continue to try to get better every day, and you will.